Inside a tavern, the talk of the town revolves around monsters disguised as humans. One of the men states that they call themselves the Demon Soldiers. He then recalls an incident that occurred in the city 3 days earlier, where 7 mages were brutally defeated by the Demon Soldiers. His friend gets spooked and asks if the soldiers are truly that strong. The older man replies that being strong doesn't even begin to cover it. They possess human-level intelligence and magical power that surpasses even that of dragons. The young man then questions why such powerful monsters are targeting mages. According to the rumors, they are searching for something very specific. Suddenly, the scene shifts as a mage shoves a man while yelling at him. Our hero Sotel falls to the ground, completely taken aback by the woman's reaction. The mage, Amira, expresses her frustration, saying he got a bit too touchy for a simple healing spell. Sotel then apologizes for the misunderstanding. However, he quickly explains that her wound is complicated due to the presence of 2 different poisons. The healer asks if she might have gone a little too far, and she turns to a blonde guy. Shiaro and Radian join the conversation, and Radian tells her to just let it go. He claims it's a waste of time and insists that even glancing at Sotel will ruin his drink. Our protagonist feels down but ultimately agrees in the end. Radian then tells Sotel that his job is done and instructs him to leave. He tosses a few coins onto the ground as a humiliating payment for the healer. Radian tells him to come back tomorrow, and as the party starts to leave, Sotel calls out to him. Our hero then asks, outraged, if that's all he will be paid, because on the ground lay just a few meager bronze coins. Without looking back, Radian replies that this is what his work is worth. He further humiliates him by saying that Sotel is merely a burden who hides in the shadows. Immediately after that, the party enters the building, leaving him all alone. Meanwhile, inside, people are recognizing the prestigious status of the party. Everyone admires the trio and comments that they'll reach rank S in no time. Outside, our protagonist stares at the closed door and lets out a sigh. He then remembers that he was injured and casts a healing spell on himself. After that, our protagonist drifts into thought, staring blankly into space. He glares at the coins on the ground, his expression one of pure defeat. Sotel squeezes his eyes shut, struggling to contain his anger. He sits on the ground, wondering what he's doing with his life. Our hero sits there, exuding a completely defeated posture. All alone on that cold street, he contemplates his future. As he gazes up at the moon, he contemplates whether he should simply give up on his dream of being an adventurer. However, he quickly abandons the idea because he lacks other skills and has no money saved up. Suddenly, he stands up and resolves to stop dwelling on all this depressing stuff. Ultimately, he decides to go out for a drink, reasoning that saving money can be just plain sad. While walking peacefully, Sotel is suddenly struck by a blast of purple energy. He feels the impact, completely unaware of what is happening. The blow strikes him square in the gut, inflicting significant damage. With wide eyes, our hero struggles to comprehend the situation. He looks down and sees that his abdomen is bleeding heavily. The confusion quickly transforms into an expression of anger and determination. Seeing his hand covered in blood, he wonders what on earth is happening. A cloaked figure emerges in despair, having missed the attack that was meant to be fatal. Our hero senses a presence and realizes it's no ordinary human. On the rooftop, the monster watches him with a formidable presence. Sotel senses an immense magical power, one that surpasses any rank S he has ever encountered. The monster introduces himself as Shan, a demon soldier serving the Demon King. With a wicked smile, he declares that he has finally found him. Immediately afterward, he reveals that his mission is to take the life of the healer, Soto. Our protagonist is puzzled by how a demon soldier recognizes him. Shan attacks once more, but Sotel successfully defends himself with his staff. Even while blocking, our protagonist is forced back by the impact of the blow. He uses the spell Angelic Heal to mend his wound. The demon is impressed by his speed, and Sotel expresses his gratitude for the compliment. Now healed, he prepares for the next round of the fight. Our hero charges at Cyan with all his might, but the demon taunts him, urging him to stop holding back. Sotel responds that he's not joking around and understands that the monster truly wants to kill him. He doesn't understand why, as he sees himself merely as a washed-up rank healer. Shan is utterly shocked by the protagonist's statement. The demon then asks if he truly doesn't understand the extent of his own power. Our protagonist is confused, and Sean refers to him as a wasted treasure. He reveals that he possesses a one-in-a-thousand-year ability. Suddenly, Sean attacks him unexpectedly, causing Soto to scream in confusion, unsure of what is happening. The strike is swift, and in an instant, Sotel's head is severed. Zion notes that even in its incomplete form, this power could be a future threat. Our protagonist feels disoriented as his consciousness gradually fades away. He sees his own body on the ground and wonders if he's really going to end up like this. Suddenly, a strange memory surfaces in his mind. In it, he sees Radiant and Amira standing on top of a cliff. He also sees himself fighting desperately against terrifying monsters. Memories of his old teammates flash through his mind. He recalls being excluded by the party and comes to the realization that he doesn't have a single good memory. The last thing he sees is the silhouette of Radiant, a stark reminder of his failure. His last memory is the disdainful gaze of his former comrades. All the while, the demon Joan watches him with a satisfied smirk on his face. The red glint in Sotel's final thought is that he had a truly miserable life. Suddenly, the darkness disappears, revealing a beautiful, sunny landscape. Unexpectedly, a blue eye slowly opens, absorbing the sunlight. Then, it widens in pure shock and surprise at the unfolding situation. Our hero leaps to his feet, completely bewildered by what he sees. He wonders where he is as sweat drips down his face. As he looks at himself, he realizes his body appears different, much younger. Our hero finds themselves all alone in the heart of a forest, standing beneath a massive tree. He then looks at his hands and realizes they no longer have any scars. Confused, he touches his chest, certain he should be dead. He gets up and walks to a lake, wondering if he has somehow come back to life. However, he quickly dismisses that idea, as it would be impossible. Upon seeing his reflection in the water, he gazes at the face of an unfamiliar young man. Suddenly, 3 men appear, and one of them declares that he isn't dead after all. Our hero turns his head, confused by the stranger's remark. The man says he looked dead yesterday and that it would have been better if he had stayed that way. Sotel stares at the group, trying to determine whether they are enemies. The heavy-set man calls him Tyria and tells him to get up and get ready. Our boy is confused by the situation and assumes they must be allies. But the man grabs him angrily, and our hero asks who he is. The man then wonders if he was beaten up so badly that he lost his memory. He even threatens him with another beatdown to see if that will wake him up. Our protagonist observes that Tyria's body is covered in wounds, much like his own. As he realizes that his soul has transferred into the young man's body, a punch comes flying toward him. However, our hero catches the punch with one hand and addresses the attacker as Kid. The man and his friends are completely shocked by the sudden change in attitude, because he realizes this isn't the Tyria he was accustomed to pushing around. Suddenly, a green healing aura begins to emanate from our hero's hand. He casts the spell Fairy Heal to mend all his injuries. One of the cronies is surprised and asks when he learned to use healing magic. Our protagonist then responds that he is no longer the Tyria they once knew. The big guy gets angry at the response and takes his frustration out on a nearby bird. He yells at our hero not to get cocky just because he's become a little stronger. He then threatens to kill him and instructs his friends to attack with everything they've got. For the first time in a long while, our protagonist feels genuinely annoyed. He thanks Tyria for the body and gets ready to teach these guys a lesson. He lunges forward with incredible speed toward the 2 goons. With impressive speed, he seizes the head of the first goon. With a single, powerful blow, our hero knocks him out instantly. He then turns to the next person and warns him that it's his turn. The second goon becomes furious and yells at him not to underestimate them. However, our protagonist effortlessly dodges the punch. He lands a powerful counterattack right in the brute's stomach. The man gasps for air, and our hero remarks that the hit wasn't half bad. The leader of the group is taken aback, questioning what on earth is happening. Our main character picks up the staff from the ground, having already defeated the 2 goons. With an intimidating glare, he asks if the big guy wants a beating as well. The man is completely frozen in fear at the question. He panics and starts yelling that just yesterday, Tyria was nothing but useless dead weight. The boss calls him worthless and is outraged by the sudden shift. Our hero responds that he has heard the word "useless" plenty of times in his life. The heavyset guy grabs a club and charges at him with full force. However, our protagonist states that as an adventurer, he has already been through hell. Drawing on all his experience, he braces for the enemy's attack. The boy blocks the club and delivers a solid punch straight to the big guy's face. He then states that using power without thought is akin to a child's tantrum. With one last apology, he concludes the fight by throwing him backward. With the final blow, he taunts the guy, saying he can't even defeat someone ranked F like him. And just like that, all three bullies are down for the count, completely defeated. Our hero hopes this has alleviated some of Tyria's resentment. He wonders how such an agile and strong young man could have been treated so poorly. If the body belongs to Tyria, how was he able to use his own healing magic? Our protagonist still can't believe he has been given a second chance at life, and he feels lost. Suddenly, something on the ground catches his eye as he's lost in thought. Near his foot, he discovers a slightly crumpled piece of paper. Upon picking it up, he discovers that it's a status examination form. The paper reveals that Tyria was an adventurer and a rank F swordsman. Our hero then decides to take the exam himself to better understand the situation. Additionally, he recalls what the demon soldier Xeon mentioned about his unique ability. The Adventurers Guild employs a special magical tool for this exam. Ranks are a system that reflects an adventurer's aptitude and power. Our hero recalls that he hadn't done one of these in years because his skills weren't improving. Radian would often yell at him for wasting time on things like that. He then arrives at the Adventurers Guild to finally take his exam. Immediately afterward, he sits down to review the results he just received. Our protagonist begins by reading the newspaper, where he first checks his basic status page. The sheet displays the name Tyria, but the class and spells are attributed to Sotel, the healer. The paper also indicates that his spell, Prayer to the Gods, remains unusable. He wonders if this could be the ability the demon soldier referred to. He then turns the page and is shocked to discover two skills he doesn't recognize. Our protagonist is taken aback by the skills club and the full auto feature. He recalls that using a club is a common skill for physical attack classes. Even though he's a healer, he developed this ability from swinging his staff so often. This means the main focus here is the ability known as full auto. It automatically activates its effects on the user and any allies they recognize. Our hero then wonders if this is the legendary skill that comes once in 1,000 years. He decides to test it in the field, but suddenly he hears some familiar voices. Radian and his party enter the guild, where the blonde informs them that Sotel isn't there. Amira expresses her frustration, calling him a terrible old man for leaving without saying a word. Our boy becomes tense, having completely forgotten about his former companions. Meanwhile, the trio searches for a new quest, as they find themselves without a mission. Shiero insists it's not their problem, while Radian urges them to just choose a mission already. Suddenly, Radian turns around, clearly annoyed, and asks what the kid wants. He tells our hero to scram, insisting they're not a circus attraction. Amira then tells Radian to forget about the old man and move on. She adds that he was useless anyway and left them with this entire mess. Our protagonist simply observes the group. Our hero is shocked to discover that no one recognizes him. He then shifts his focus back to the paper in his hands, still processing everything. The sheet lists the name Tyria, but indicates a healer class and a rank of F. He thinks about the 3 guys who tormented him when he woke up, and also about the other acquaintances who were at the Adventurers Guild. Finally, he remembers his former teammates. None of them recognized him as Sotel, the party's former healer. This leads him to believe that perhaps he can start his life over from scratch. For a long time, he was an adventurer who had given up on everything. He needed money, so he humbled himself before people like them. Our protagonist reflects on his difficult life with a bitter smile. Now, with a determined look, he resolves to put an end to his past. He crumples the paper in his hand with force and conviction. He stands up, ready to finally leave his old life behind. To test his new skills, he takes on a straightforward mission. The task is ranked E and involves eliminating 30 wolves from the forest. He uses the staff he picked up to defend against the creature's initial attack. With his eyes glowing, he prepares to use one of his new skills. Our hero then swings the club and delivers a devastating blow to the wolf. Another monster charges forward, and our hero prepares for the next attack. With another clean hit, he finishes off the wolf and reflects on how effective the skill is. Suddenly, he feels a surge of power and sees that the club has already leveled up to 2 wolves have already appeared, and the party shows no signs of ending as 3 more emerge from the forest. With a confident smile, he gets ready to test his full auto ability. Our hero extends his hand and shouts the skill's name with all his might. To his surprise, absolutely nothing happens, leaving him confused. One of the wolves seizes the distraction and lunges at him. With no time to think, our hero reacts and delivers a solid punch right to the mutt's face. He then wonders why the ability didn't activate as he had expected. But as he looks at the paper in his hand, he finally understands why. The skill activates automatically for him and any allies he recognizes by name. To test his theory, he allows another wild wolf to charge at him. The monster bites down hard on his arm, but our protagonist doesn't even flinch. Suddenly, the wolf's teeth shatter as if they had bitten into a rock. The creature is left with a broken jaw, crying out in pain as a result. He then realizes that the skill is incredible, and with it, the damage he takes is nearly zero. Our hero realizes why the skill is a treasure. It levels up more quickly. Now, everything makes sense, and he finally understands the motive behind the demon soldier's actions. If he develops this ability, he could become infinitely stronger. The skill wasn't non-existent. He just didn't realize he had it. Now he can begin anew. The ability had been active all along. He just didn't realize it. Since he only ever faced strong opponents, he never experienced its benefits. Now, his body feels as light as a feather while the last wolf stares him down. He can see the creature's every move as if it were in slow motion. Our hero realizes that he has been reaping the benefits of the skill for a long time, without even noticing. After the battle, the bodies of the wolves lie scattered across the clearing. He then stares at the paper containing information about his new abilities. He believes that the full auto skill was something even the Demon King feared. But by a twist of fate, he returned to life and can now master this skill. With a dirty face, he vows to turn the tables and live this second life like a king. Back in the city, our protagonist walks the streets with newfound purpose. He returns from the hunt with a huge, heavy sack slung over his back. The mission was to kill 30 wolves, but he got carried away and ended up hunting 3 times that amount. Upon arriving at the guild, he notices an adventurer attempting to flirt with the receptionist. The man is holding the woman's hand with a charming demeanor. He calls her Rosa and asks if she has a bit of free time to spare for him. The woman smiles shyly, yet she appears to be enjoying the attention. The adventurer comments that her shyness is cute and asks her out. However, their conversation is interrupted when someone approaches from behind the man. The adventurer then swats their hand away. The adventurer grows annoyed but is interrupted by a loud thud on the counter. Our hero slams a giant sack on the table, startling the receptionist, Rosa. Immediately after that, he delivers another massive sack, catching the woman off guard once again. Our boy then asks with an innocent expression if he did something wrong. Poor Rosa is nearly buried under the sacks of items he brought. She is even more shocked by its size and weight. Our protagonist hands over the mission paper and states that he's here to submit the quest. The woman takes the paper and is shocked to discover that the mission was for 30 wolves. Her jaw drops even further when she sees the incredible amount of loot he brought back. He then apologizes, explaining that he accidentally hunted a bit more than intended. The adventurer watching him is left speechless by the scene he just witnessed. This rookie, named Tyria, appeared to possess an incredible skill. Our hero inquires if there's a problem, but Rosa eagerly interrupts him. She congratulates him on completing the mission and expresses her satisfaction with the result. He notes that it's impressive for a healer to gather such a significant amount of loot on their own. Our boy feels a bit flustered by the compliment and simply replies, "Thanks." At this rate, he'll be promoted to rank E or even D in no time. In his past life, he only ever received insincere smiles, but now he feels rejuvenated. With a smile on his face, he reflects on how being young is truly a wonderful experience. However, the adventurer rudely tells him to move aside. The adventurer glares at him and asks if he's a rookie in this area. Our boy responds vaguely, saying it's something like that. The guy laughs confidently and claims he can see right through him, because he accuses him of merely trying to impress the receptionist. Our hero calmly inquires what could possibly be wrong with that. The adventurer then concludes that he must have purchased all those items from somewhere. Our protagonist then wonders what he would gain by taking that action. The guy replies with a smug look, claiming he's just a weakling. He boasts that he always completes his missions solo. Rosa lets out a forced laugh at the guy's pathetic display. Our boy finally understands that the guy has a crush on the woman. Our hero claims he gathered everything through his own strength. The guy is skeptical because the wolves he hunted have a resistance to magic. Our protagonist then states that, unfortunately, he can't use attack magic. He effortlessly used his staff to take down all the wolves. The adventurer begins to laugh, believing it's all just a joke. He then remarks that our hero is stronger than he appears and grabs the sack. Our protagonist realizes there's no reason to say anything more to him. The guy is annoyed by our hero's appearance. Our hero then tells him to take it however he likes, as they won't be seeing each other again. Angered by the boy's attitude, the adventurer clenches his fist tightly. He yells for him not to get a big head as he lunges forward to throw a punch. Suddenly, our protagonist's eye flashes with an intense blue light. The guy lands a solid punch to his face, but the blow has no effect whatsoever. The outcome is dire. The adventurer screams in pain from the impact. He then looks at his hand, confused about what just happened. It's completely bruised and bleeding from the punch. The man asks what was done to him, and our hero responds, "Nothing." Our protagonist claims he didn't do anything, it was simply his defense skill at work. As a result of the punch's impact, his full auto ability levels up to 2. As a result, his self-healing and reflex enhancement also improve. The people around them remark that the injury appears quite painful. They even find him pathetic for getting beaten up after starting the fight. The adventurer is overwhelmed with shame and anger about the entire situation. He grabs his sword, preparing for round 2 of the fight. He draws his weapon, fully determined to exact revenge on our hero. Shouting that he'll never forgive him, he charges forward with a sword attack. Our protagonist calmly anticipates the downward strike, approaching from the right. He easily dodges the attack by simply stepping to the side. The adventurer is taken aback, surprised by how easily he dodges. With an injured hand, he readies himself for the next sword attack. He attempts a horizontal slash from the left, but our hero anticipates the move. Thanks to his skill, he can anticipate every movement of his opponent. It's as if his brain and muscles were connected. The fight continues as the two face off atop a table. The guy becomes desperate, as losing to a rookie would be embarrassing. In a fit of rage, he screams that he will end our hero's life. Our protagonist then challenges him to prove he can deliver on that promise. Seeing his opponent completely unravel, our hero decides it's time to fight back. The adventurer lunges forward with a furious sword strike. However, our protagonist effortlessly dodges the attack, prompting the guy to call him a pest. The adventurer's face contorts with rage at not being able to land a single hit. He attempts a horizontal slash, but our hero ducks and dodges it once more. Our protagonist then remarks that the guy is also an adventurer and prepares for a counterattack. Anticipating the punch, the man attempts to defend himself with his sword. His eyes widen with fear as he witnesses the speed of the incoming attack. Meanwhile, our hero stares him down with a serious expression, his eyes glowing blue. With a cold expression, he says it's nothing personal before he strikes. The adventurer makes a desperate attempt to strike, but our hero shatters his guard. In a swift motion, our protagonist seizes the man's hand with astonishing strength. The man is in complete shock, unable to believe what is happening. With a single move, our hero sends him flying, his sword soaring through the air. To finish it off, he delivers a powerful punch straight to the adventurer's face. After the fight, our guy is left feeling a bit confused by the outcome of that punch. He examines the staff he used in the blow and notices something unusual. Our protagonist reflects on how he didn't use much force and wonders if another skill has leveled up. But he discovers that's not the case, and suspects his rank may have increased. Upon checking his stats, he realizes he has improved from an F rank healer to an E rank. The punch sends the adventurer's mug flying, shattering it on the floor and splashing booze everywhere. Then, his sword clatters to the ground, and the fight finally comes to an end. His friends stand there, jaws dropped, unable to believe the beatdown he just endured. The adventurer sits on the floor, completely defeated, as our hero walks away. Our guy feels somewhat uncomfortable with all the attention he's receiving. He turns to the fallen man and asks if he's okay. The man looks up, still in shock from the protagonist's strength. Everyone in the guild, including Tyria and the other adventurers, is captivated by the scene. The loser's face turns red with shame and anger, feeling utterly humiliated. He struggles to his feet, still feeling the pain from the blows he endured. Without saying a word, he and his friends leave the guild with their tails between their legs. Our protagonist watches their pathetic exit with a smirk. Suddenly, a group of adventurers approaches him with a friendly demeanor. One of them calls him man and appears genuinely excited about what just happened. The guy congratulates him, saying he's awesome and that the jerk won't be returning. He ruffles our hero's hair, causing him to get flustered as he tells him to stop. The adventurer then calls for Tyria, and she walks over to the group. The young woman thanks the boy and apologizes for getting him involved in the mess. Our protagonist insists it wasn't her fault, while the other guy continues to hug him. However, Tyria glances away slightly, as if she has more to say. Our guy smiles and reassures her not to worry, explaining that he simply didn't like that guy. Her reaction leaves Tyria looking surprised, but then she breaks into a smile and genuinely thanks him for his help. After the commotion, our hero bids farewell to the people at the guild and sets off on his journey. He walks alone through the city streets at dusk. He lets out a sigh of relief as he watches the sunset over the vibrant city. Our protagonist walks through the streets, reflecting on everything that has happened. He reflects on how he was attacked, came back to life, and even completed a solo mission, all in a single day. With a slight smile on his face, he reflects on how insane it all was. But despite all the chaos, he admits he had a lot of fun. He recalls that for decades, his skills never improved, and he felt like a total failure. However, he now reaches his hand out to the sun, embracing this new opportunity. Living a new life in this body might not be such a bad idea after all. With that in mind, he decides to head to the city of Balderia. He remembers that the last time he was there was about 3 months ago. It's not a fond memory, as he was thrown into a monster's nest. His old companion shoved him in there just for fun. Back then, he was full of energy and wanted to eat until he could barely move. However, with Radian and the others present, he couldn't do what he wanted. He would end up eating only vegetables while watching them devour all the meat. He remembers that Shiero once gave him a piece of meat out of pity, but it caused him such severe indigestion that he became really sick. However, with this new body, he feels he can eat as much as he wants without any issues. He pauses for a moment to reflect on his new life. He has many questions about the reasons and processes behind it all. He decides that what's done is done and that it's better to just accept it. With a clearer mind, he enters the house to begin getting ready. He decides there's no time like the present and goes to pack his things. Our protagonist then picks up his bag to begin organizing his belongings. He sits on the floor and starts sorting through everything he'll need for the trip. With a smile on his face, he feels like a child before a field trip. Soon after, he announces that the preparations are nearly complete. However, he didn't anticipate a small snag in his plans. As he stretches, he realizes that the kid's body is exceptionally well built. As a result, he decides he needs to buy new clothes before he leaves. Next, our hero begins boiling something in a pot over the fire. He carefully removes the hot pot to complete his preparation. Inside is a potion crafted from 7 different types of herbs, infused with his own magical power. He believes the name toxic is a bit excessive and wonders who came up with it. Despite its unusual color, he assures us that the potion's effectiveness is genuine. Suddenly, the front door bursts open with astonishing force. Our hero spins around, startled by the noise and the debris flying in every direction. With a shocked expression, he wonders, what in the world was that? Suddenly, a little white wolf leaps onto our hero, catching him by surprise. The little guy knocks him to the ground and stays on top, full of excitement and joy. With its tongue out, the little wolf barks happily at the young man. He's confused and wonders where that puppy came from. Suddenly, a sinister fog materializes out of nowhere, and our hero steps in to protect the animal. The fog morphs into a red monster with razor-sharp claws. The reflection of the fearsome creature appears in the protagonist's eye, leaving him in shock. He's taken aback by the beast's aura and questions whether it's real. The monster glares at the young man, who has no idea who this foe is. The creature lunges with a swift strike, but our hero dodges just in time. He then expresses his frustration that problems keep arising one after another. The little wolf gazes at him with an expression that almost appears worried. Our protagonist expresses his frustration, stating that his day is filled with disasters. At that moment, the little puppy makes a cute sound, almost as if it's asking a question. He confronts the monster and assures the creature not to worry, promising that he will protect it. At that moment, he notices that the little wolf has a few scratches on its back. The healer uses his angelic healing magic to treat the wounds. Now fully healed, the little wolf appears much healthier and happier. Our hero offers a slight smile, relieved that he could help the little guy. He picks it up and decides to end the fight as quickly as possible. The fearsome creature readies itself to attack, its red eyes glowing ominously. With that, our hero grips his staff tightly, bracing himself for battle. He then delivers a powerful and precise blow to the monster's arm. Despite this, the enemy's strength forces him to retreat along with the little wolf. Our boy grows contemplative as he observes something unusual about the beast's attack. The shadowy creature moves forward once more, its tentacles poised to strike. Annoyed, he complains that the monster is wrecking his house as if it owns the place. With a shout, he delivers a devastating blow directly to the creature's center. The young man quickly dodges another attack from the shadowy foe. The monster's body dissipates slightly upon the staff's impact. However, the fob creature quickly regenerates, returning to its original form. With a determined expression, our protagonist readies to continue the fight. He believes that if he continues like this, he'll eventually run out of energy. Complains that this entire situation is quite problematic as he defends himself. As he blocks a blow, he senses something unusual about the enemy's strength. The monster attacks again, but our hero manages to defend himself. His eyes lock onto the battle as he begins to grasp what's happening. A memory of the blow's impact leads him to realize the truth about the monster. The creature's attack left a gaping hole in the wooden floor of the house. However, he finds the hole too shallow and begins to wonder if the beast is holding back. He then wonders why the enemy is holding back in this fight. With a face full of anger, our hero fights back against the beast's relentless attacks. One of the strikes hits his neck, but the wound disappears instantly. At that moment, his self-recovery ability activates, healing his injuries. With a confident expression, he reflects on how useful this healing skill is. The fog creature readies itself for another powerful attack. With a fearsome roar, the monster spreads its arms and charges with all its might. The beast approaches, but our protagonist gazes at it with a different expression. At that moment, he has an idea and wonders if the monster is vulnerable to healing power. The creature strikes with its arm, resembling a sharp tentacle. The blow shatters another part of the house, sending wood dust flying. Seeing this, our hero gets ready to finally test his new theory. He decides not to waste time thinking, and instead will find out through action. He uses his fairy healing magic directly on the monster. The creature screams in pain as the healing magic inflicts an overwhelming amount of damage. With a victorious smile, our protagonist realizes he has hit the mark. The monster retreats, sensing the magic searing its body with intense power. Noticing the enemy's weakness, the young man advances with his staff poised to strike. He then begins using his fairy healing on the enemy repeatedly, without stopping. With one final healing blow, he gets ready to end the fight for good. He relentlessly attacks the beast with his healing magic. Our hero channels all his energy into the staff for the final blow. With a determined shout, he declares that this will end once and for all. He then leaps into action, using all his strength to unleash his angelic healing against the enemy. The monster braces for the attack, its red eyes wide with surprise. As the magic takes effect, the creature's body shatters into several pieces. And so, the fight concludes with our protagonist emerging victorious. However, he feels a bit confused because he sees no sign of the enemy. Our boy opens the door and looks outside to check if everything is okay. He finds it very strange that the monster left no remains behind. He believes it's the first time in decades that he's encountered a monster vulnerable to healing. After checking everything, he returns inside, still deep in thought. The young man places a hand on his head, feeling slightly dizzy and fatigued. He begins to wonder if he might have used too much mana during the fight. Suddenly, he feels a strange sensation emanating from the boy's body. His full auto skill levels up, and he realizes that its growth rate is far too fast. With that, he wonders if the boy, Tyria, possesses something special. At that moment, he turns and sees the little wolf staring at him with intense focus. The little guy appears to be in a guarded stance, Wary of what just happened, our hero approaches and advises the animal not to be so defensive. With a calm gesture, he extends his hand and reassures everyone that everything is fine now. Suddenly, the little wolf lunges forward and swats our hero's hand away. The young man is left utterly confused as the animal stares at him with a serious expression. To his surprise, the white wolf speaks and asks if he isn't Tyria. The animal then asks where Tyria is and why he looks that way. In complete shock, our protagonist can't believe the puppy just spoke. A status screen appears, showing that his skills have leveled up. Filled with anger, the wolf bares its teeth and demands to know what he did to Tyria. The healer then asks if Tyria might be the owner of this body. The animal appears to understand the situation and prepares its sharp claws. Filled with fury, the wolf accuses him of merely stealing its friend's body. The young man quickly attempts to explain, denying that he harmed the boy. But the animal doesn't listen and lunges at him with all its might. Now the two face off, creating incredible tension as the wolf prepares to pounce. Our hero shouts as the white wolf lunges toward him to attack. Without hesitation, the creature bites down on the young man's arm with considerable force. Despite the bite, he retains a serious and focused expression on the situation. The wolf pauses for a moment, appearing very confused by the outcome of its attack. The animal keeps biting his arm, but it doesn't appear to have any effect. The healer then asks what happened so suddenly, noting that the bite didn't hurt. The wolf halts its attack and grumbles that its stomach hurts. Our hero is confused and wonders if there is still an injury lingering. In reality, the little guy was simply hungry and asking for food. The healer then offers an awkward smile as they grasp the situation. With that, he serves the potion he prepared, and the wolf devours it instantly. The young man watches the animal eat with a suspicious expression. Little wolf is amazed by the taste and exclaims, "It's overflowing with power." Our boy finds this very suspicious, especially as the animal begins to speak more clearly. He asks if dogs can eat that kind of soup. The animal replies that it's not a dog, so there's no problem. The young man stares at the beast in disbelief. He then comments on the wolf's dog-like appearance, but it ignores him. Then our hero mentions that the animal bit him quite a while ago. He apologizes, stating that he didn't realize he was finished. The young man doesn't understand what that means, but the animal assures him that he'll find out soon. With a thoughtful expression, he decides to ask the little wolf another question. He then asks why the animal was found with Tyria's body. The wolf explains that Tyria was a child chosen for a specific reason. The creature explains that its mission was to care for and protect the boy. Our hero then states that it should be panicking because Tyria is already gone. The wolf nods in agreement and states that what he said is indeed true. It then smiles and says that must have been the boy's destiny. Our hero states that Tyria was only 18 years old and expresses that what happened is a shame. Thus, the creature states that its mission is now to guide our protagonist. The young man grows a bit weary of hearing that same story once more. He then changes the subject and asks what that monster from earlier was. After all, he had never encountered a fog creature that was vulnerable to healing magic. The wolf then replies that, to be honest, it doesn't know much either. It only recalls being suddenly attacked when it ventured out to search for Tyria. The healer becomes stressed as demons and strange monsters begin to appear. The creature then looks at him and asks if he knows anything about the demons. At this point, the wolf becomes serious and wonders if they have finally begun to make their move. The animal remains silent for a while, leaving our hero quite curious. The young man sighs and says that if it's not going to talk, then he might as well forget it. He clumsily picks up the little wolf. The healer carries it to the door and says it can go home now. He then reveals that he will begin his journey the following morning. The young man asserts that it's none of their business where he's going, as this is his new life. However, the wolf refuses and insists on accompanying him on this journey regardless. After all, it states that if it doesn't, it won't be able to confront Tyria later. Our hero insists he doesn't need a guardian, claiming he's too old for that. However, the wolf insists it must stay by his side, especially if the demons have made a move. Then the creature begins to glow and remarks that it can be surprisingly useful when it wants to be. Our boy is taken aback by the light, and the animal says it hasn't properly introduced itself. It reveals itself as Grazia, a member of the Sky Messenger's clan, and carries him into the air. Our hero offers a somewhat forced smile in response to the unexpected situation. His blue eye mirrors the sky as he soars on the back of the giant creature. With that, the two soar through the skies at high speed, flying over the entire city. He catches a glimpse of a couple holding hands as they stroll down the street. There's also a guy dancing, while another crouches down to pick something up from the ground. Gracia then tells Sottle to use him if he has a specific goal for this journey. With that, the two continue their flight through the city's skies, heading toward the horizon. The healer pauses thoughtfully at the word "coos," as he doesn't really like it. After all, that word reminds him of how he was used and betrayed in the past. He recalls his old companions and how they cast him aside. However, he views it as a contract in which he received benefits in exchange for being observed. The young man thinks it might be good to add some excitement to his new life. With a smile, he agrees and says he will use him without hesitation. Gracia then asks what their first destination will be, and our hero replies that it will be Bardalia. The wolf recognizes the city, and the young man mentions that they will go to Filialka, the city of fairies, afterward. Our hero shares that he enjoys the figures from that city, and the wolf finds this hobby quite unexpected. The young man nods thoughtfully, but he has other plans in mind. He wants to drink sake and enjoy some really greasy meat skewers. The healer also wants to fully enjoy his hobbies without any worries. With a smile, he expresses his desire to reclaim all the little happiness he has lost. The two then arrive in the bustling city of Bardalia at dusk. Many people are walking through the streets, enjoying the peaceful night in the city. Our hero watches the hustle and bustle, taking in the food stalls with a curious gaze. Gratia remarks that the place is very lively and expresses excitement about the view. The young man agrees, noting that the energy here is different from what he experienced in his previous home. That's why he wanted to stop by Tyria's house to pick up some new clothes. However, the creature states that their time is limited and they cannot afford to waste it. The wolf suggests that he use fur like it does, but the young man replies that, unfortunately, he is human. The creature then smiles at him and asks why he seems so grumpy. At that moment, they arrive at a shop, and Gracia asks if this is where he wanted to go. The young man then opens the door and enters the store to do his shopping. To his surprise, the place is dark, and he sees only one woman inside. The lady apologizes and informs him that the shop is closed for the day. Our hero feels a mix of surprise and disappointment at the unexpected news. With a sigh, he nods and gets ready to leave. The lady apologizes and explains that the shop won't be opening for quite some time. Our hero is puzzled by the news and struggles to understand the reason behind the closure. She then explains that, in reality, they can no longer go to the animal pasture. It was a peaceful place where the creatures grazed freely. But now, a dragon has taken up residence in a cave right in the middle of the path. The young man is utterly shocked and asks if she really mentioned a dragon. The woman simply nods, her expression filled with sadness and disappointment. With that, the two say their goodbyes and exit the shop without getting what they came for. Gracia notes that it wasn't just any dragon. It was a rare variant. The creature tells our hero that he is unfortunate to be halted right at the beginning of his journey. The young man clenches his fists tightly, displaying his determination. With a confident expression, he states that this is why he's considering taking down the dragon. The wolf is taken aback by the idea and asks if he has lost his mind. After all, even a regular dragon requires an A-rank party or higher to be defeated. But the healer shouts that it is human nature to want to take on impossible challenges. The creature gazes at the young man, its expression reflecting disbelief at his madness. Gracia then asks if he has any chance of winning the fight. The young man explains that the dragon's specialty is poison, which complements his healing abilities. However, he acknowledges that its method of attack remains a significant issue in the fight. He explains that its scales are harder than expected, and Gracia notes his experience. Our hero reveals that long ago he fought against dragons on several occasions. However, he only recalls being treated like a shield and enduring some difficult times. The creature becomes confused and reflects on this event from long ago. The young man laughs and claims he's much older than he appears. He then admits that the odds are against him if he continues to attack in his current manner. Gracia looks at him intently as he states that he needs weapons and equipment. That's why he wants to get some armor, and the wolf has no objections. With their plan in place, the two arrive at a weapons shop in the city. Our hero enters the shop, where a bald shopkeeper greets him with a warm welcome. The healer mentions that he plans to hunt a dragon and asks if he has any weapons for the task. The man is taken aback by the request and repeats the word dragon. With a mocking smile, he tells the boy to forget it and go play with his dog. Gracia becomes furious, but our hero manages to calm him down and apologizes for his outburst. The young man reassures him not to worry, saying he has plenty of money. With that, he slams a heavy bag full of coins onto the counter. The shopkeeper gazes at the bag of money, his face reflecting pure surprise. He carefully opens the bag, while the little wolf watches him with anger. The bald man is utterly shocked by the amount of money inside. To his surprise, the bag was filled with dozens of gold coins. In disbelief, he picks up one of the coins to confirm that it's real. The gold coin gleams brightly in the shopkeeper's hand, surprising our hero. With that, his attitude shifts, and he remarks that the young man should have spoken up sooner. The man quickly recommends a staff crafted from a spirit tree that is over 100 years old. Our boy laughs, believing it was a brilliant idea to hunt monsters. The shopkeeper continues to showcase various pieces of equipment with a big smile, but the young man's gaze is fixed on something, and he carefully picks up a sword. His blue eyes sparkle as he gazes at the weapon, which shines with a brilliant golden light. The healer then takes the sword, and the shopkeeper praises him for his excellent taste in choosing it. He then explains that the weapon is made from a rare material called atherast. The sword emits a blue aura and has a very high magical conductivity. The shopkeeper then asks where he's from, noting that he's never seen him around before. He observes that the young man is well dressed, and even his dog carries a dignified air. At that, our hero replies that he'll buy it, and Gracia asks if he knows how to use a sword. The young man responds that, to be honest, he has never held a weapon like that before. He recalls that swords were Radian's specialty, but he thinks it looks really cool. Seeing this, Gracia asserts that it's his money and he can do whatever he wants with it. The healer then leaves the shop, excited with his new sword strapped to his back. After that, the two head into the forest where the dragon is hiding. Upon arrival, they discover a cave filled with pools of poison scattered throughout. The poison is more potent than the rumors suggested, and a green aura surrounds his feet. A green healing aura envelops the white creature, readying it for battle. With the skill active, the healing effect remains constant, and he asks if the wolf is feeling nervous. The young man responds that he isn't nervous at all. In fact, he's very excited. Gracia then expresses that this is great news, as it has high expectations for the battle. With everything prepared, the hero turns and, alongside his partner, steps into the dark cave. The creature gazes into the darkness, reflecting on the power they had pursued for so long. After all, that is the true essence of the legendary skill that emerges once every 1,000 years. With the dragon hunt, he'll finally be able to uncover its true essence. It all goes back 2 years when a silver-haired warrior wielded her purple powers to confront the danger. Suddenly, a colossal dragon with pink scales and red eyes emerges, glowing brightly in the darkness. With that, the group of adventurers confronts the giant beast in a life-or-death battle in the middle of an open field. At that moment, the healer's hands are poised to cast a powerful restoration spell on his allies. He then uses his angelic healing magic to restore the strength of his ally who was injured in battle. The annoyed blonde man charges forward with his sword, determined to pierce the tough skin of the flying monster. The pink-haired maid shouts magical incantations as she readies a fire attack against the winged enemy. A massive explosion erupts in front of the creature as the warrior makes a decisive aerial strike. At this, the giant beast glares at the humans with a look of pure hatred and contempt for their audacity. Radian grinds his teeth in frustration, realizing that his physical attacks are having no effect on the beast. The swordsman then expresses frustration, stating that at this rate, they'll all be exhausted before they even win the battle. At that moment, the sorceress with glasses commands the group to retreat immediately in order to save their lives. The leader of the trio looks surprised, realizing he can't defeat the monster alone in his current condition. With that, he takes a firm step back, plotting a rather cowardly move against his teammate. The weak young man watches as the blonde man approaches, his expression filled with malice and deep hatred. Then, the brute grabs Sodal by the collar and says that if he has enough energy to talk, he should be useful right now. He hurls the unfortunate healer toward the danger, buying himself some time to escape as quickly as possible. The silver-haired warrior observes the scene, utterly shocked by the cruelty of her own ally. However, the mage gives a wicked smile, having already anticipated that the leader would treat the useless boy this way. In the end, the hero falls to the ground, alone, as the others flee, leaving him behind as mere bait. The young man is paralyzed with fear, as he recalls his past life and the terror he experienced that day. He recalls the creature opening its massive mouth, poised to swallow him whole without mercy. Even in the face of his imminent end, he used his angel's healing to shield himself from the beast's venomous attack. The healer was thrown back by the force of the blow, yet he still tried to remain on his feet in the fight. In a desperate attempt to avoid being defeated by the giant creature, he drank several fairy healing potions. Back in the present, our hero and his furry partner stand before the entrance of the enemy's dark cave. He recalls being so injured at that time that he could barely sleep, but he knows he has been through worse. Gracia asks if he's really going in, and the wolf replies that he won't make the same mistake he did with Teria. Our protagonist recognizes his new teammate's determination and silently agrees. With that, the two enter the perilous cave, which is filled with pools of purple poison scattered throughout. Poison bubbles rise from the ground as more drops fall from the ceiling, creating a dangerously lethal environment. The young man warns that breathing is becoming difficult and that even the dragon's breath can be perilous. The white creature becomes frightened and expresses that he should have been warned about this long before they entered. Our hero smiles and reassures the wolf not to worry, explaining that the full auto skill affects him as well. He then realizes that the ability activates automatically for him and for any allies he recognizes by name. Gracia becomes extremely excited by the news and expresses that he is counting on the healer's power. The pair then ventures deeper into the ominous cave, enveloped by a menacing purple aura. They walk cautiously through the area, readying themselves for their encounter with the giant monster that resides there. Suddenly, the animal stares ahead with an expression of pure panic and intense fear. Our boy senses the imminent danger and shouts for his partner to watch out for the surprise attack. With that, the protagonist quickly shoves Gracia aside while fending off the dragon's tail attack. The poison-covered tail whips through the air as the creature finally reveals itself completely in the dark cave. The monster's body is coated in a purple goo, and its red eyes glow with a fierce thirst for battle. Despite the danger, our hero remains calm, facing the beast with a serious and determined expression. The dragon then strikes again with a powerful swipe of its tail, attempting to crush the young man in one swift motion. The impact of the attack kicks up a cloud of dust and poison, hitting our protagonist head-on. With that, the poison splatters everywhere, and despite his protection, the young man still feels the pain of the corrosive attack. He then realizes that his auto-heal alone won't be sufficient to withstand the power of the poison. He uses his fairy healing to create a green energy barrier that protects him from damage. He is taken aback by the spell's power and realizes that his new weapon is even more formidable than he had imagined. The beast roars furiously as our hero praises the enemy's strength, showing no sign of fear. With a confident expression, he grips the handle of his new sword, ready to launch his long-awaited counterattack. He then states that if the dragon believes this will stop him, it is mistaken, because he refuses to lose his second chance. The monster charges with all its might, determined to finish off the adventurer who dared to challenge it. Gracia panics because the young man has never used a sword and has no idea what he intends to do with it. Then, our hero wields the sword still in its sheath, treating it like a large wooden club. He utilizes his club's skill and strikes the dragon's head with the sheathed sword. The little wolf is utterly shocked by the scene, having never expected such a bizarre move from his partner. The blow has no effect, and the beast roars as the young man acknowledges that his plan didn't work out as he had hoped. The wolf shouts that it's a sword, and he needs to unsheath it, and our hero laughs and agrees. Then, the dragon opens its enormous mouth to unleash another one of its poisonous attacks. With that, the slimy beast unleashes a blast of green venom toward our hero. Despite this, the young man confronts the attack head-on, wearing a serious and determined expression. The venom strikes him directly, completely enveloping him in a toxic and deadly cloud. In that moment, Gracia panics and calls out his partner's name, fearing the worst. The entire cave is shrouded in a thick green smoke, and there is no sign of the protagonist. To the little wolf's relief, the smoke begins to clear, revealing the silhouette of the young man. He then emerges with his sword unsheathed and glowing, remarking that it was a close call. The wolf is shocked, questioning whether he instinctively nullified the poison with healing magic. Our hero realizes that his casting speed is off the charts, prompting him to become thoughtful. The blade of his new sword glows with an intense blue light, absorbing his magical energy. He realizes that the sheath has melted, but the blade absorbs his healing and is truly remarkable. Gracia rushes to him to check if he's okay, and the healer assures her that he's fine. Without giving them a moment to rest, the monster lunges forward with its sharp claws for the next strike. With that, our hero readies himself for the counterattack, swinging his sword with all his might. He tells the creature to calm down as it's being quite loud and restless. The young man charges forward with his glowing blue sword, poised to strike the giant monster. A dark, muscular figure emerges, representing the manifestation of his newfound power. Now, with his face concealed, he gets ready to demonstrate the full extent of his abilities. With a confident smile, he prepares to unleash the full power of his new magic sword. Suddenly, our hero wonders what that strange sensation he is experiencing could be. With that, he charges forward, wielding his sword in a swift and precise movement against the enemy. He then realizes that his body is moving on its own, as if it instinctively remembers how to fight. In the blink of an eye, he effortlessly severs the dragon's arm. The young man then pierces the beast again, as if driven by pure instinct. His eye glows blue as he mentions that he's seen that move before in the fight. His sword glows brightly as he readies himself for the next attack. The monster roars in pain, reacting to the deep cut inflicted by the young man. Despite its serious injury, the slimy creature refuses to give up and continues to stand. Our hero confronts the wounded dragon with a calm demeanor and a serious expression. He then closes his eyes and appears to finally grasp what is happening. He realizes that Tyria's will still resides in that body. He recalls that Tyria was an Frank swordsman and that his body holds memories. Now he understands the feeling he experienced, as it was the boy's determination to fight. The healer then calls out to Tyria, declaring that they will fight together from now on. The dragon glares at the young man, its red eyes filled with anger and hatred. Now the two prepare for the final showdown that will determine the outcome of the battle. Our protagonist's eyes and sword shine with an intense blue light. The giant beast roars in pain and frustration as it approaches its breaking point. Suddenly, the monster makes an unexpected move, catching the young man by surprise. With that, the giant beast charges furiously toward the two, its wings spread wide. However, the little wolf appears to have a bold and cunning plan in mind. Suddenly, the dragon turns and attempts to escape by flying far away from the battle. Then, it bites the monster's tail and is carried away in its escape. The creature bursts out of the cave at high speed, carrying the hero's partner with it. It soars into the open sky as our protagonist watches from the ground. The monster continues its frantic escape through the skies of the region. The wolf becomes furious because the dragon is treating him like just a simple animal. He then uses the barrel on his back to pry open the enemy's mouth. Baring its teeth, the white creature makes it clear that it means business. With that, the giant beast releases the little wolf, who tumbles toward the ground. Our hero watches everything unfold from below, unsure of what to do in that situation. Gracia then calls out his partner's name, urgently asking for help, calls him to battle, and suggests they should go all out against the creature. Our protagonist then leaps into the air, perfectly mounting his partner. Together, they will prove that the sky doesn't belong solely to the dragon. He laughs as he uses his healing powers on the wolf, who clearly dislikes being called a dog. Gracia reveals himself to be a skyfarer and charges forward at full speed. The duo takes to the skies, and the healer launches an aerial strike against the winged monster. He suggests that next time they should take it a bit easier. Our hero exclaims that he wants to hear the full story about the Skyfarers later. With that, he dives toward the dragon, prepared to deliver the final blow. His sword glows brightly as he readies himself to pierce the monster's thick scales. Then, the sharp blade pierces the giant beast's flesh, unleashing a powerful burst of purple energy. He grips the sword tightly as the dragon's body starts to plummet toward the ground. With a single precise strike, the monster's head is severed from its body, bringing the fight to an end. Our hero then expresses that one day they will sit down and discuss everything calmly. With a smile, he says they have plenty of time in this life to reconnect. After the battle, the dragon's body lies in the river while our hero rests on a rock. He gazes at the water, deep in thought, as he processes everything that just occurred. At that moment, his partner approaches, and he gazes up at the sky, feeling a sense of victory in his chest. He grips his sword and tells himself that he has finally managed to defeat the creature. With his own hands and that sword, he faced and overcame his first great challenge, alone. That victory was achieved by him alone and serves as a testament to life in Tyria. The young man who passed away beside him remains etched in his memories. With this in mind, he grips the hilt of the sword with strength and determination. Our protagonist then expresses the importance of valuing this new opportunity and honoring the boy's memory. He is no longer a burden or dead weight. He has now managed to defeat a dragon on his own. Gradia then asks if they are leaving already, and our hero confirms with a serious expression. He states that from now on, he will continue to grow in order to clear away both his regrets and Tyria's. With this victory, his full auto skill levels up, enhancing all of his stats simultaneously. At this, his partner Gradia looks at him, pleased with the outcome of the fight. The young man still senses Tyria's presence beside him, as if they are connected through the battle. The wolf then calls out to his old friends with a tone of regret in his voice. He admits he was wrong, which is why he lost Tyria. Now he knows he can't make the same mistakes again. He promises to guide our hero, so together they can fulfill the young swordsman's wishes. With a determined look, the creature states that in order to do so, he must also prepare for the future. The scene shifts to the city of Baldaria, where night gently descends over the houses. From above, a mysterious cloaked figure watches over the city, holding a sinister blue crystal ball. In the sphere, he sees the image of our hero and his partner celebrating their victory over the dragon. The strange being remarks that for a human, the young man is quite impressive, but still not quite enough. With a single gesture, he coldly shatters the crystal sphere into many pieces. The figure sits on a rooftop, watching the city with a malevolent gaze. He reveals his red eyes and a sinister smile, stating that the young man has annoyed him. Meanwhile, the night unfolds peacefully in the city, with stars twinkling in the purple sky. The scene shifts once more, revealing the sign of a bustling tavern filled with people. Inside, our hero and his partner sit at a table, enjoying the atmosphere. The shopkeeper thanks them for defeating the dragon and saving her business. The young man is eating peacefully when he notices that his partner is also at the table, enjoying a meal. He then assures the lady not to worry, explaining that he did it simply because he wanted to. In the tavern, the owner thanks the young man and the white wolf for accepting the job so kindly. She notes that the dragon has been defeated and that the local livestock survived, although they lost a significant amount of weight. With a sigh, the woman confesses that she was ready to close the restaurant because no one had accepted her quest before. The young adventurer continues to eat and remarks that it would be a huge waste to close a place as good as this. The owner then thanks him sincerely and looks at the hero with deep gratitude. However, she quickly invites them to return in the future, as they haven't experienced everything the establishment has to offer. Smiling, the dark-haired man replies that he will definitely return, as he is eager to try more of the house specials. The atmosphere is warm and inviting, with other customers enjoying a relaxing evening in the peaceful village. At that moment, the young man devours another piece of meat and realizes that his appetite appears to have no end. He reflects that being young is truly the best thing in the world, as he hears his furry partner calling him loudly. With that, the white animal is thrilled with the roasted meat and eagerly asks for more food at the table. The protagonist hands over another plate and warns the little wolf not to overdo it during dinner. The inn remains lively as the travelers finish their meals and prepare to continue their journey across the world. Shortly after, the pair sets off on their mount, crossing the fields under the moonlight and passing by a tranquil river. The healer inquires if their next destination is truly the fairy city of Filiauca to witness a renowned major event. It's a mesmerizing magic performance featuring a dancer executing incredible moves in the center of a packed arena. However, the furry beast questions the value of watching magic tricks that serve no practical purpose. With a smile, the hero tells him not to say that, as he will surely end up liking it when he sees it up close. Suddenly, a sharp spear flies through the air at high speed, narrowly missing the faces of the two friends. At that moment, the young man and his companion wear expressions of pure shock as they realize they are under a surprise attack. At that moment, we see a blonde archer in the heart of the dark forest, carefully watching the path. Then, the girl appears in front of the dark-haired man and his wolf, creating an awkward tension between them. However, she quickly begins to apologize fervently for nearly hitting them with her deadly attack. With that, the young woman reveals her embarrassment and concern over what she just did by accident. At that moment, she bows deeply and repeatedly apologizes for the scare she caused them. The protagonist then reassures her to relax and not worry about what happened, assuring her that everything is fine. With a calmer expression, the blonde girl thanks him and remarks that she almost became a criminal on her very first day. He then makes a slightly awkward expression upon hearing the new adventurer's confession, as she seems to be quite clumsy. At this moment, the young woman gazes at her calloused hands as she grips her wooden bow with a mix of strength and pain. However, the hero notices that her fingers are bleeding from the intense effort she put into her training today. The man then asks her why she is in such a hurry, given her injured state. Surprised, the archer stares at the young man, unsure of how to respond to his unexpected concern. Despite her pain, she tries to conceal it and says she needs to leave soon so she doesn't waste her time. At that moment, the dark-haired man observes her with a serious expression and realizes that something is wrong with this girl. This reminds him of his own past, the difficult life he once lived, and he still sees himself in her. Just before she could walk away, the adventurer asks her to wait a moment, quickly catching her attention. He takes the young woman's injured hand and examines the deep cuts caused by the bowstring she uses. The healer then uses his fairy magic, creating a bright green light that surrounds her entire injured palm. The magical energy begins to work instantly, closing all the wounds and relieving the exhausted blonde of her fatigue. Finally, the girl is astonished to see how quickly and effectively her hands have been healed by the young man. With that, the young man tells her that she's pushing herself too hard and that the fear of not seeing results can be overwhelming. He reflects on his past and cautions that trying to force things through sheer willpower can damage both the body and the mind. The archer listens closely as the hero asks if she believes she can accomplish anything in her current state of exhaustion. The young woman concedes that he's right about her excessive training. The protagonist suggests that after some rest, she might improve her longbow skills. He smiles, mentioning he's heading to Filialka, and asks if she lives there since she was training in the city. With a gentle expression, he asks if he can accompany her on her way home. The young woman is slightly surprised by the unexpected invitation, but she doesn't seem to reject the idea of having company. With a smile, she accepts and thanks him sincerely for the kindness of the new friend she has just met in the forest. Suddenly, the young man is shocked to discover that the Lumina figure event he had been so eager to attend has been canceled. He then asks the girl if that sad news is really true, as he can hardly believe what he just heard. Lucia confirms that the fairy princess Maris can no longer perform, though the reason remains unknown. She remarks that the young man is quite unlucky, as it appears that nothing has been going right for him on his journey lately. The blonde girl then pets Gracia's head and says that even the little dog was looking forward to the show. Upon witnessing this, the hero realizes that others cannot hear the voice of his talking furry partner. With that, Lucia asks Sadiel if he's such a big fan of the Lumina figure performances that it's made him so upset. He excitedly confirms and praises the magical techniques and graceful body movements of the show. We see an image of the dancers performing in their purple dresses on a bright, magical stage. The young man then smiles and says that those performances are a true expression of complete and beautiful art. He concludes by stating that, in a way, the Lumina figure represents a source of hope for him, leaving the blonde girl surprised. He explains that some Lumina performers have given up on fighting, and he feels a connection to them. The young man recalls that even healers need attack magic to level up in the guild. But no matter how much he trained, he could never master any offensive spells to defend himself. The blonde girl is confused by the young man's story and doesn't fully grasp what he means. However, watching the performers on stage fills him with courage and appears to rescue his former self from the darkness. With a smile, Lucia remarks that he says things that don't align with his apparent age. She reminds him of his own advice about not needing to rush to get things done. The dark-haired man smiles and acknowledges that she's correct about the advice he gave earlier. He then shifts the conversation and asks why the dancer Morris can no longer perform at the event. The protagonist wears a serious expression as he waits for a response from his new companion. With a somber expression, the archer reveals that the truth is Morris is suffering from a serious illness. It's an illness that cannot be cured with common remedies and requires materials from a special monster. That's why the young woman clenches her fist and says she's trying so hard for the sake of her sick friend. The young man then realizes everything and asks if she was training with her bow for that reason. She smiles and confirms that she knows it's impossible, but it's something she has to try. With a determined look, the blonde girl declares that the girl is her one and only true best friend. The healer smiles with his eyes closed and remarks that the blonde is very strong for accomplishing this. With that, he asks what specific materials are needed to create the cure for the illness. The young man lets out a slightly sheepish laugh upon hearing the name of the ingredient, which sounds quite familiar to him. The girl considers his reaction reckless, but the hero points out that they have a dragon liver. The young man holds up the dragon liver for the blonde girl and asks if it can help save Morris. At this revelation, the archer is left completely speechless, staring at the item with wide eyes. With that, the hero holds up the pinkish organ and declares it can't be a lie because he obtained it himself. The scene then shifts to the city of Filialka, where a magical night envelops the houses in a purple glow. Inside, we find Morris lying in bed, her skin marked with red spots that reveal the severity of her illness. Lucia bursts into the room and calls for Dr. Eleanor, who awaits her with a serious expression. The brown-haired doctor gazes at the young woman with a calm and professional expression. With that, the doctor sits beside the bed as the blonde girl approaches to deliver the exciting news. Crying tears of joy, Lucia reveals the dragon liver she acquired for her friend's cure. From the doorway, the protagonist silently observes the entire scene, his expression remaining calm and composed. The woman in white then gazes at the item, her eyes filled with a mix of suspicion and surprise. The healer continues to watch the interaction between the two with a serious and cautious expression. At that moment, he asks if that is truly enough to cure the girl in the bed. The doctor then hugs Lucia, expressing that this is wonderful for the patient's treatment. The young man watches from a distance as the blonde girl cries, finding solace on the older woman's shoulder. However, our hero is confused by the situation and wonders what is truly happening. The doctor then casts a strange and mysterious look, creating a tense atmosphere in the room. With tears in her eyes, the archer asks if this means her friend will finally be saved. The woman confirms that she will save her, and Lucia celebrates the news she has been waiting so long to hear. Eleanor then looks at the young man and asks if he was the one who brought the item. He replies that it was just a coincidence. The doctor offers a knowing smile and says she understands the situation clearly. With a serious expression, the protagonist replies that it was quite fortunate. Suddenly, he feels a strange energy, and his eyes widen in shock. He then wonders why his full auto skill activated, even though he wasn't in combat. In this moment, the woman's movements appear slow, leading him to wonder if it's due to the enhanced focus. A dark figure with glowing red eyes suddenly materializes in his mind. He envisions a giant skeleton as the doctor mentions that she will prepare the medicine. The young man then approaches her, his expression filled with pure suspicion and tension. With that, the adventurer is on high alert. Sensing that something is very wrong, Lucia noticing his attitude, she calls his name with a concerned expression. She assures him not to worry, as Dr. Eleanor is very trustworthy in the city. The blonde girl explains that even the children take her medicine and refer to her as a mage. The healer listens to the story and remarks that it is truly impressive. Then the bedroom door closes, and the atmosphere inside grows significantly heavier. Our hero reflects on the sense of danger he felt just moments ago. The doctor returns with another patient, and the archer asks if it's what she thinks it is. The woman holds a vial containing a bright red shimmering potion in her hand. With a smile, she says that if the sick girl drinks it, she will recover instantly. The signs of the illness are still visible on poor Morris's face and neck. The young man interrupts, expressing that he wants to ask something purely for educational purposes. With a serious expression, the protagonist inquires about the ingredients of the suspicious medicine. The doctor smiles and says she will list some of the components of the magic potion. She mentions dragon liver and other ingredients as she prepares to administer the liquid. She then reveals that the rest of the ingredients are a secret and brings the vial closer to the patient. But the young man acts quickly, grabbing the woman's arm and preventing her from administering the medicine. With that, he remarks that even a healer like him is familiar with that potion. A dark image of a skull emerges from the red liquid, unveiling the truth. He then reveals that it's a deadly poison that destroys people from the inside out. He reveals that the medicine is, in fact, a deadly substance that destroys people from the inside. The archer is taken aback and doesn't understand what's happening at all. The woman then flashes a wicked smile and asks what he could possibly mean. At that moment, the blonde turns to the hero and asks what he meant by that. However, the fake doctor simply displays a sinister smile, exposing her true intentions. Holding the vial in her hand, she remarks that if the boy is so curious about the medicine, she suggests that he should try it on himself to discover what the potion really does. The archer is paralyzed with fear, unable to respond to the woman's sudden attack. But our hero acts quickly, pushing his new friend away from the impending danger. As a result, the liquid splashes onto the healer's face, and he feels the pain immediately. The girl screams her new friend's name in desperation when she sees what has happened to him. The poison starts to spread through the young man's body, and he feels its effects right away. Dark marks spread rapidly across his body as he struggles to resist. He then uses his angelic healing magic to eliminate the poison that affected him. A blue aura envelops his body, and within seconds, he fully recovers from the attack. Seeing this, the doctor becomes furious and yells that this is why she can't stand healers. She then attempts to escape, but his canine partner appears to block her way. The wolf leaps toward the woman, growling that he won't let her escape. The creature then bites the villain's arm fiercely to prevent her from escaping. The animal then throws her to the ground and pins her down, preventing her from causing any more trouble. Eleanor glares at him angrily and asks if the boy is part of some special group. The villain then decides it's time to stop talking and unleashes her dark aura throughout the room. With this, she plans to end it all right now by unleashing her true evil power. An adventurer and his friend watch as a giant, menacing shadow emerges. The fake doctor finally reveals her true demon form and declares that her name is Eleanor, but she vows to make them pay dearly for the defeat of her beloved pet dragon. The protagonist is taken aback when he hears about the winged creature he encountered previously. At that moment, the witch reveals that the poison monster was, in fact, her loyal servant. She gazes at her hands, lamenting that her plans were thwarted by mere mortals. The creature also reveals that she intended to turn the princess into her new puppet. With a cold gaze, she vows never to forgive the boy for ruining everything. The archer then becomes confused and asks what the woman has been talking about all this time. The enemy scoffs at the idea of friendship, calling the blonde a foolish human. The wicked woman reveals that the sick girl was merely intended to be used as bait to attract other victims. In that moment, both are horrified to realize the opponent's immense cruelty. The healer becomes angry and asks why anyone would commit such a terrible and wicked act. With contempt, she declares that this world is too good to be wasted on humanity. She continues, stating that the waters and forests are abundant in very pure magic. At that moment, the dark being makes it clear that she intends to conquer everything because it is such a place. Before humans can ruin everything, the demons plan to seize control of every corner of this magic-rich world. The creature then asserts that the demon king will save the land, but in a cruel and terrifying manner. The hero grinds his teeth, filled with immense anger at the senseless destruction inflicted upon the people. With a smile on her face, the villain remarks that she may have gotten a little too carried away while talking with the youngsters. She decides to end the chat and starts preparing a powerful magic strike against the group. The young adventurer is thrown backward by the impact of the dark energy that strikes the area. But the witch doesn't relent. She summons a giant water spear to eliminate her opponents once and for all. In that moment, the protagonist tightens his grip on his staff and readies his attack technique. He spins the weapon, generating a blue aura as he bravely charges toward the massive liquid monster. As a result of the impact, the elemental spirit begins to disintegrate, losing its original form after the powerful blow. Seeing the enemy stagger, the warrior realizes that the attack is proving highly effective against the threat. He realizes that, to defeat the creature, He must destroy the core hidden within the water. Spotting the weak point, the boy directs all his attention to the small, glowing sphere that hovers in the air. The hero delivers a direct hit, aiming to pierce through the creature's body and bring it to an end. However, the monster regenerates quickly, and water splashes everywhere in the room, complicating the fight. Realizing that nothing has changed, the archer points out that they aren't making any progress by fighting this way. Mocking them, the evil woman asks if that's the best power they can muster in a fight. The healer tells her to stop talking so much nonsense about destiny while he tries to recover, but the blonde lowers her head and murmurs that she can't endure any more of the witch's humiliations. At that moment, the girl draws her arrow with determination and vows that she will never forgive the villain for what she has done. The hero strikes the water monster, but the creature regenerates instantly, disregarding his attack. The villain scoffs at their efforts, declaring that this whole friendship act is simply pathetic. The blonde becomes enraged and attempts to shoot more arrows despite being badly injured and exhausted. However, the archer's shots pass right through the elemental spirit, causing no real damage. At that moment, the young warrior shouts for his friend to calm down and maintain a level head. But she responds in despair, feeling that she lacks the strength to defeat the evil witch. Then the boy walks over to her and says, "That's enough of all this yelling in the middle of a fight." He explains that panic clouds your focus and obscures the true nature of things. The girl listens to his words intently and gradually begins to control her breathing. Healer. She then says she already knows what to do and just needs to trust her instincts. In that instant, the young woman's vision shifts, allowing her to see beyond the creature's body. The water spirit reveals a bright red core at the center of its liquid form. With perfect posture, the archer aims her bow with a precision that feels almost supernatural. At that moment, she closes her eyes for a second to sense the direction of the wind. She then opens her eyes with unwavering determination, focusing solely on her main target. The blonde draws the bowstring with all her might, and a green energy begins to emanate from her. The monster roars, but its weak point is fully exposed, making way for the girl's final attack. With clarity, the warrior declares that she can finally see where she needs to strike to achieve victory. She exhales deeply, focusing all her magic into that single sharp tip. Then, the arrow of light shoots forward at high speed, slicing through the air toward the enemy's core. The spirit charges forward fiercely, but the arrow strikes its target dead on, destabilizing the creature. Upon impact, the elemental monster explodes into 1,000 pieces, beginning to dissolve completely in the room. The villain watches the scene with wide eyes, unable to comprehend how her servant was defeated so easily. The giant's liquid form then dissolves into the air, leaving the witch completely unprotected in the battle. The archer and the evil woman lock eyes, staring each other down as silence fills the room for a few moments. The hero smiles proudly and says that his partner's shot was truly incredible and right on target. At that moment, the blonde remains vigilant with her bow, prepared for any further surprises from the enemy. He observes the situation intently and realizes that the fight is far from over. The white wolf then gazes at the girl, impressed by the rapid improvement she demonstrated in battle. The healer notices the gaze of his canine partner and confirms that her power is truly extraordinary. With that, the legendary creature acknowledges that the young woman's ability is frightening, even for an ancient being. But the demon grinds her teeth in anger and smiles grimly, even after losing her spirit. She acknowledges that their strength is impressive, but insists she still has many tricks up her sleeve. In that moment, the woman readies herself to retreat, declaring that she won't be defeated so easily. The warrior then positions himself to block the opponent's escape, gripping his weapon tightly. But the witch nimbly jumps back, creating distance between herself and the young adventurers in the room. With a swift motion, she crosses her arms and activates a magic circle to shield herself from an incoming attack. The wicked woman conjures a dark cloud and escapes through the ceiling, mocking everyone present as she goes. The dog barks that she's getting away and tells the boy to get on her back so they can begin the chase. At that moment, the protagonist's face reveals surprise, as he notices something unusual occurring. He then realizes that if the villain escapes now, the young Maris will be lost for good. At that moment, the boy explains that to save the princess, he must take the core from the witch herself. The archer then grabs the wolf's tail tightly, asking the group to wait a moment before leaving. However, the blonde insists on joining them, determined to help save her best friend at all costs. The hero looks at her, surprised, but quickly agrees, saying she can indeed join them in their pursuit. In that moment, the adventurer reaches out his hand and helps the girl onto the large, furry animal. The group finally sets off, riding the canine, who clearly looks like he's not enjoying this at all. They press on, making their way through the dense forest as night falls over the village. The friends quickly catch up to the demon, who was waiting for them in a dark spot in the woods. At that moment, the hero warns her that she's cornered and that her game is over once and for all. But the witch lets out a mocking laugh, claiming that they are the ones who have actually fallen into her trap. Suddenly, a gigantic mud creature emerges from the ground, its appearance both terrifying and bizarre. With that, several other slime beings begin to emerge from the ground, surrounding our heroes on all sides. In that instant, the boy covers his face, overwhelmed by the unbearable stench emanating from the dirt monsters. The wolf then complains that the smell is too strong for his sensitive nose. However, the canine quickly asserts that he's no ordinary dog and can handle the full scent. As the situation intensifies, the healer readies himself for combat, harnessing his healing aura for protection. Suddenly, one of the monsters launches a heavy mud projectile at the hero, sending it hurtling forward at high speed. At that moment, the young man employs his physical strike technique to forcefully deflect the enemy's attack. With a focused gaze, the protagonist destroys the projectile in midair, demonstrating that he's ready for the real fight. The hero understands that ordinary attacks alone won't suffice to win this challenging battle. Meanwhile, the witch hovers above, observing everything with a mocking expression. The boy then shouts to the archer, asking her to knock the fruits down from the tree. With that, the blonde quickly prepares herself, while the white wolf dashes across the battlefield. At that moment, the girl feels a bit confused, but quickly grasps her friend's unusual plan. With precision, she fires her arrows, knocking down several fruits at once. The warrior swiftly moves to intercept the attacks from the mud monsters. Leaping into the air, the young adventurer gets ready to execute a daring and swift maneuver. His canine partner observes the scene intently, sensing that something significant is about to unfold. The hero swiftly picks up the fallen items and crushes them with all his strength. He praises his partner's work, stating that she executed everything exactly as planned. In that moment, the boy combines the ingredients in a vial, crafting a powerful, improvised potion. The protagonist charges forward with unwavering determination, feeling the power surge through his entire body. Suddenly, he delivers a powerful strike against a massive dirt projectile heading his way. The enemy's attack slices through the air as the healer readies his final counterattack. With a firm and swift motion, he uses his magic sword to slice the massive sludge in half. At that moment, the threat splits into two parts, falling harmlessly to the ground. The archer is captivated by the scene, but soon begins to wonder what will happen next in this battle. The white wolf makes a funny face, realizing that his new master's strength is truly surreal. The hero explains that the potion he created is a highly powerful and effective hardening agent. The boy then tells the wolf that he'll have to tolerate the stench, as he's not an ordinary dog. With that, the canine's anger intensifies, but he accepts the mission as the adventure prepares to unfold. The warrior spreads the liquid on his sword and leaps into the air to execute his final plan. Suddenly, the young man hurls the barrel into the lake, causing its contents to disperse across the still water. The blonde catches a whiff of the terrible odor and complains about the stench, all while trying to keep her balance in the fight. The arrow, filled with a special liquid, cuts through the air, leaving a trail of energy that instantly solidifies the ground. The white wolf becomes ill from the smell and eventually faints, collapsing in the mud that has formed on the ground. At that moment, the dirt monsters start to harden and transform into stone statues. The archer is confused and wonders why the ground has suddenly become hard, without any explanation. The demon then appears with a malicious smile and asks if the group is ready to surrender. However, the healer realizes that the stench is overwhelming for his friend's sense of smell, so he needs to devise another plan. In that moment, the blonde asks the boy if he has any strategy to defeat the witch. The hero assesses the situation and quickly realizes what must be done to resolve it. He leans in and whispers an important secret to his friend, one that could secure their victory in the battle. The young man then reveals that the monsters are merely clones and that the villain's true body is concealed. He goes on to explain that the true enemy must be hidden somewhere nearby. The demon's eyes widen as she realizes that her illusion trick has been uncovered by the warrior. The archer is taken by surprise but quickly realizes she must locate the true opponent. The girl touches her forehead and concentrates to activate a new, powerful eye ability. The archer explains that she can use an appraisal spell to locate the hidden enemy. The hero is taken aback to learn that the girl has such a rare ability. She begins to channel her mana as the witch watches with a malevolent glare. The demon shouts that she won't allow anyone to interfere with her plans again. In that instant, a wave of dark energy is unleashed at the blonde to interrupt her. But the girl remains completely focused on her forehead, ignoring the danger approaching her. The canine partner swiftly leaps to protect his friend from the deadly attack. With that, the warrior loses her balance and falls off the back of the large white animal. However, she quickly recovers and returns to her fighting stance, mounting the wolf once more. The villain becomes furious and commands the adventurers to stop moving around so much on the battlefield. Meanwhile, the protagonist skillfully uses his staff to deflect the mud projectiles. The archer remains focused. Despite the pressure of the battle, she presses her head as she attempts to stabilize her special vision magic. The wolf asks the girl if she isn't finished yet, noting that the situation is becoming quite dangerous. She then apologizes, explaining that her casting speed is quite slow. Suddenly, the magic activates, revealing information about all the beings in the area. The hero concentrates his blue eyes and realizes that the magic web is mapping every living thing around him. He dodges a swift attack while waiting for the signal from his new combat ally. The spell then identifies the real Eleanor among the numerous bizarre mud clones. The young woman is astonished. She has never seen her own ability function so effectively before. The blonde activates her appraisal magic to reveal the precise location of the real enemy's hiding place. A green aura envelops her body as she realizes that this power is coming from her healer friend. The protagonist is taken aback by the intense glow radiating from his ally at that moment. With her enhanced vision, she finally locates the central core, concealed in the midst of all the mud. Sensing the danger, the demon screams that she will not let them interfere with her evil plans. The boy acts quickly, launching himself through the obstacles to create a clear path for the final attack. He then leaps into the air, targeting the weak spot that the archer just revealed to everyone. Using his physical technique, the warrior strikes a crushing blow against the monster's glowing crystal. With the direct hit, the core shatters, and the entire mud structure begins to crumble instantly. The fragments scatter across the battlefield as the witch's magic loses its power. A purple energy explosion erupts, signaling that the spirit has been defeated once and for all. The villain grinds her teeth in pure rage at being outmatched by mere humans in such a direct confrontation. The adventurer keeps his gaze fixed on her, demonstrating that he has no intention of giving her a moment to rest. Cornered, the creature of darkness hovers over the swamp. Realizing her situation is desperate, she glares at the group, contemplating what she can do to escape. But the wolf warns that this time, she won't be able to run away anywhere in the world. Consumed by hatred, the opponent readies herself to unleash an even more sinister aspect of her hidden power. With no other option, the demon declares that she'll have to give it her all to survive. In that moment, her nails transformed into sharp claws, enveloped in a dark, shadowy smoke. The wicked woman then uses her own blood to activate a forbidden ritual, enhancing her combat strength. The hero is taken aback by the witch's transformation and understands that the ritual is truly serious. With her powers amplified, the demon starts to experience the side effects of the forbidden magic. In that instant, the woman screams in pain as an aura of blood and shadows envelops her completely. The canine partner is startled by the scene and warns the young adventurer to be cautious of the impending attack. Suddenly, a barrage of sharp claws is launched at the group at an extremely high speed. But the boy doesn't flinch. He blocks the blow with his staff, demonstrating his incredible resilience. The protagonist feels the heavy impact but stands his ground, refusing to take a single step back in the fight. He jumps back and readies himself for a counterattack as the villain charges forward with all her strength. With her red eyes glowing, the enemy reveals her sharp fangs and killer instinct. The warrior then shouts that she shouldn't underestimate him, as he is much stronger than he appears. The two then exchange fierce blows in a deadly dance that reverberates through the dark forest. The healer warns that brute force isn't enough. Strategy is the key to defeating anyone. He ducks to evade an attack and readies one of his most secret abilities. With that, a sphere of red energy forms in his hands, radiating immense healing power. The boy uses his angelic heal to purify the evil essence of the core he collected earlier. He explains that it is the true heart of a mud golem and that it can be purified. At that moment, a bright green aura envelops the red sphere, transforming its energy into light. The young man then hurls the purified core at the demon, who watches him with a mix of astonishment and fear. The sphere of light strikes the witch directly, inflicting unbearable pain on her demonic body. The villain screams in desperation as the sacred power burns her skin and purifies her evil soul. The hero explains that her body now regenerates, but he plans to use that to his advantage. He states that once she lost her reason, the fight was already decided. The witch is struck by a powerful attack as the hero declares that she has already lost the fight. With that, the demonic creature lets out a scream of pure agony as it feels its body breaking apart. The young adventurer stands in the middle of the battlefield, observing the outcome. He maintains a serious expression on his face after finally defeating the powerful enemy. At that moment, the blonde archer wonders if they truly managed to win the battle. The villain's body gradually disintegrates into pieces, and she vanishes forever. In her absence, only the purified core remains, now floating in a pool of mud. With that, the girl and the white creature observe the red item from afar. Lucia sighs in relief, feeling grateful that everything worked out in the end. The girl realizes that this means her friend Maris can finally be saved from the illness. Suddenly, the archer faints from exhaustion and falls into the arms of the healer, who catches her. The woman then shows a serene smile as she rests in the arms of her new friend. The young man looks at her and says that she did a great job throughout the entire fight. The scene shifts to the city of Filiaka, illuminated beneath the starry night sky. The group walks back with the hero, who is carrying the fainted girl in his arms. Then, the wolf stops and complains, revealing his paws, which are completely covered in mud. The animal expresses its disgust at the horrible smell, and the protagonist concurs, noting that the stench is indeed unbearable. The healer says he could resolve the issue if he had a purification spell, but unfortunately, he doesn't. Suddenly, his staff glows, revealing a new ability called Refresh. Then, a wave of blue energy radiates from the magic weapon, cleansing everything in its vicinity. The mud on their clothes and on the wolf's fur disappears, leaving the young man surprised and smiling as he realizes he's learned a new spell. His partner is thrilled. With their victory, his stats and skills improve significantly. Soon, they arrive at a lively arena for the magic dance event, where Maris, now fully recovered, captivates the audience with her beautiful performance. She dances with graceful, elegant movements, enchanting everyone in attendance. From the audience, Lucia watches everything with a look of pure admiration and happiness. She is amazed by the show and tells her furry friend that it's incredible. The crowd goes wild during the performance as a rainbow forms in the arena. In the end, the dancer stands alone at the center of the stage, receiving applause from the entire audience. A new dancer with brown hair steps onto the stage, wearing a sinister smile. She manipulates impressive flames for the captivated crowd. Lucia watches the fire performance, her face reflecting surprise. The artist then conjures a massive fire dragon that soars over the entire arena. The protagonist watches in amazement and thinks to himself that this is incredible. He is captivated by the colors, the sounds, and the emotions of the girl's fire dance. The young man comes to understand that every aspect of the artist's expression is complete and perfect. With tears in his eyes, he declares that this is the true essence of supreme art. His canine partner expresses concern that he's getting overly excited about the performance. The archer notes that the competition's rules have changed significantly over the years. She then mentions that the next competitor will use water to cool down the heat from the stage. The wolf wonders if the medicine he provided was truly effective enough to cause such a reaction. Gracia then reveals that it is a secret remedy passed down through generations in his clan. The blonde girl is stunned to learn that the wolf is a skyfarer of Lord Taraji. Suddenly, a hand reaches out to pet the white creature's ear, which remains motionless. The animal becomes annoyed and tells her to stop, but Lucia simply thinks he's a cute dog. The girl continues to stroke the wolf's head while watching the stage intently. Next, a dancer with white hair enters the arena for her performance. She floats in the air, enveloped by an aura of ice and shimmering crystals. Her shoes appear to be crafted from ice, shimmering with the magic she wields. The silver-haired young woman has green eyes and blue eyes as cold as ice. With that, she dances gracefully, conjuring snowflakes and waves of ice in the air. Her face reflects intense concentration as she executes her movements. The dancer smiles at the audience, extending her hands in a warm, welcoming gesture. Lucia watches the ice performance, her face reflecting pure admiration. With shining eyes, she exclaims that it's beautiful and expresses her happiness to see it. The healer nods in agreement, a kind and sincere smile on his face. He then reflects that this time he truly succeeded in saving someone. A doubt arises in his mind as he reflects on the words "this time." The scene shifts to a dark and eerie forest illuminated by the light of the full moon. He recalls someone in the swamp, pleading with him to run and escape. Suddenly, a creature with a terrifying face emerges from the shadows of his memories. The horned being resembles a twisted and frightening tree. He recalls a human figure cautiously approaching the tree, which then dissolves into a pool of dark liquid. The protagonist envisions his own face, covered in this substance. He snaps out of his thoughts when a group of kids in the crowd pushes him. Confused, he wonders what that strange vision he just experienced was. On stage, the silver-haired dancer continues her captivating performance. She smiles gracefully at the audience, captivating everyone with her dance. The young man feels a drop of sweat trickle down his tense face. He appears troubled by the vision he experienced and is unable to relax. The young adventurer sits in the stands, wearing a worried expression. His reflection appears in the eye of his partner, who watches him intently. A screen displays that his automatic healing ability has increased to level 8. After the show, people begin to exit the arena in groups. The hero and his friends prepare to leave with the crowd. Lucia smiles and asks if he plans to see Maurice after all of this. With a serious expression, the young man affirms that he is. Suddenly, a young man with gray hair calls out to him, capturing his attention. The healer clenches his fist and slowly turns around, his expression one of surprise. He's surprised to see Astel, an old acquaintance, standing right in front of him. A young man with dark hair asks why he is in a place like this. He goes on to say that the hero could have at least answered his letters. The protagonist feels embarrassed and apologizes, explaining that he has been busy. Lucia asks if they know each other, and the young man replies that Sadiel is merely a nickname. He then asks Astel why he is in the city. Astel smiles as he reveals that he has become a Lumina dancer, just as he always dreamed. The protagonist nods and inquires about how his parents and friends are doing. However, Astel's response leaves the healer with a very serious expression. Astel smiles and says that everyone is doing well and remains very excited about everything. The healer senses that Astel is concealing something and watches him with suspicion. He then recalls the demon with one red eye that he saw in his earlier vision. The memory reminds him of the demons and their sinister plans. Lucia becomes confused by their conversation and struggles to understand anything. The young man asks Astel if she plans to return to the village after this event. With a smile, he invites his old friend to return together. Astel is taken aback by the invitation and pauses to think for a moment. He then smiles kindly and agrees to the offer. The three of them set off together down a dirt road toward the village. Lucia remarks that he still has the dog and calls him cute. Astel looks at the girl and says that now he even has a girlfriend. The protagonist feels embarrassed and insists that she is not his girlfriend. He continues by saying that he heard he saved Princess Maris in an extraordinary manner. The two friends chat excitedly while walking down the road. Lucia observes the two of them and remarks that it's surprising to see Sadiel smiling. The wolf agrees, noting that he used to smile more in the past. Intrigued, he asks how long it has known him. Astel replies that the wolf has been with him since he was 10 years old. He explains that he was born to fulfill a mission, but at that time, he was still immature. Out of his arrogance, he claims the boy lost his parents. Eventually, the boy himself also departed from this world. Lucia listens to the story in silence, her expression filled with sadness. Gracie recalls seeing the young man crying as if he were completely shattered. With a serious expression, he states that he must have felt sorry for him. That's why he chose to stay by the boy's side for a while. The animal recalls comforting him during difficult and lonely times. At times, he would also scold him for doing something wrong. He concludes that perhaps this is what humans refer to as family. A hand gently pets the wolf's head, and the wolf looks surprised. The wolf becomes flustered by the petting and asks what she is doing. With a gentle smile, Lucia remarked that he looked like he was about to cry. The white creature is taken aback by the girl's keen perception. She says she always believed the young man carried a weight within him. With a smile, she expresses that she imagines he feels the same way. The animal is speechless and doesn't know what to say to the archer. Then, the blonde girl explains that she followed him because she was worried about the protagonist. She realizes that she can't leave him alone on this journey either. The group continues their walk along the road toward the village. The village appears quiet and peaceful, featuring simple houses and lush green fields. From above, the location appears small and isolated, nestled in the heart of nature. They make their way to the protagonist's house, situated on a hill. The house appears old and is covered in moss, giving it an air of abandonment. They both comment on how quiet it is today, and the healer agrees. They arrive in front of the house, which appears empty and silent. The gray-haired young man recalls a time when they fell into a well. He asks if the hero remembers the scolding their father gave them that day. The protagonist smiles and remarks that the hit from his father really hurt. Suddenly, A stops walking and becomes serious, catching his friend's attention. He stops in front of the house's door, his expression dark. He then says that since they've come this far, he shouldn't freak out too much. With a gesture, he points to the door and reassures his friend not to be scared. He opens the door, revealing what was hidden inside. Stillness casts a shadow over the protagonist's face, leaving them in shock. With wide eyes, he struggles to believe what he's witnessing. Inside the house, two monstrous trees loom in the room. The trees have frightening faces that appear to be screaming in pain. The gray-haired young man smiles and says he's still in for a surprise. The healer asks how it happened and what those things were. A still reveals that it's an absinthe that transforms people into trees and removes them from existence. He explains that they sacrifice themselves to protect Rit's son. The healer touches the tree and softly whispers the names of his uncle and aunt. He presses his hand against the tree's bark, his expression filled with pain. His eyes fill with determination as he vows to save them. A still smile crosses their face as they say it's admirable that they are the protectors of the village. The protagonist states that he doesn't need to appear so dark and sad. The gray-haired young man is puzzled by his friend's reaction. The hero then reveals that they are not gone yet and can still be saved. A still is in shock, but the healer urges him to look closely. The young man explains that it's a condition in which poison transforms the body into wood. He says the process is at 20%, and he can still proceed. He still asks if he can truly save them, and the hero confirms that he can. The young man shares that he has experienced a great deal since leaving the village. With that, they enter a cave in search of the ingredient for the cure. The healer steps into a puddle of water, and the slime creature emerges. The blue creature appears to be a slime queen and gazes at him. The protagonist swiftly attacks the creature with his sword. He and his partner battle the slimes that emerge in the cave. The wolf wonders who this boy is and where he has come from, and knows that the cure can be made using the slime queen's mucus. The creature splits into several smaller slimes to launch an attack. Grasha wonders how the young man knew about the slime queen. He realizes that the hero's sword strikes are familiar. He recalls the moment Tyria picked up a wooden sword for the very first time. The wolf wonders whether he's overthinking things or if something strange is happening. They arrive at a deep section of the cave and brace themselves for the worst. Suddenly, a large blue slime projectile is hurled toward them. The wolf leaps and swallows the projectile to protect his partner. With a smile, he says he can't be useless forever either. The protagonist smiles and says he can always count on him in every battle. The wolf asks if he has been in this cave with Tyria before. The healer reveals that ever since he met her, he has been experiencing strange visions. The white creature listens closely as its partner explains. Suddenly, another slime projectile is fired at the hero. He dodges it with an agile move and claims that his body is moving on its own. The young man comes to the realization that he is drawing on Tyria's memories to fight. The wolf confirms that he and Tyria have been in this cave before. He recalls that Tyria was clumsy, but possessed great physical potential. He continues to battle the slimes with his sword. The hero employs a new cutting ability to strike at the monsters. He is surprised to find that he has mastered a new sword technique. The wolf explains that Tyria acquired several skills while fleeing from the slimes. The protagonist realizes that cut was also one of Tyria's skills. Groteus states that he wouldn't recommend Tyria's training method to anyone. The healer gazes at his hands, appearing deep in thought for a moment. Suddenly, several rocks begin to fall from the ceiling of the cave. He becomes frightened by the cave and is unsure of what to do. He shouts to his partner to watch out for the falling rocks. They run to avoid the rocks falling throughout the cave. The hero shields himself from the debris falling from the ceiling. As the dust settles, he realizes that the place has changed. The healer contemplates what this place is and what has transpired. A blue liquid begins to drip from the ceiling toward him. Goo falls on him and his partner, completely covering them. The wolf feels ill from the goo, and a green aura envelops him. The hero also feels the effects of the slime, triggering his auto-heal. He asks his partner if he's okay, and the wolf confirms that he is. Then, the goo on the floor begins to transform into something new. The healer observes the transformation, staff in hand. Giant snakes emerge from the slime and attack them with ferocity. The protagonist draws his sword and readies himself for battle. Suddenly, the slime queen appears, floating gracefully with a powerful aura. The hero realizes that the queen herself has chosen to join the fight.